Hello again, friends. Today we're working on the Learn to Code 2 chapter Arrays, and we're doing the activity Fixing Index Out of Range Errors. And the goal today, it says, is to identify and fix an index out of range error. And we'll learn what that is here in a minute. Let's look through the description here so that we can get set up for this puzzle. There's sort of a lot going on here, so it's useful to check it out. It says you can access an item in an array by using its index, allowing you to use the item just like any other variable. So we've looked at indexes in past videos. So if you're not familiar with this term index and how it's used to access a single element of the array, then go back and have a look at some of our previous videos here at Building Rainbows, and you should have a better idea on how those work and how an index relates to the elements that are stored in an array. And here then it says we've got a let characters equals, and then there's a square brace here which signifies the beginning of an array. And here's the corresponding last square brace that signifies the end of the array. And in this case, this array has 3 elements in it. Each one of the elements are separated by a comma, and each one of the elements is a character object. And the first element is a character object that is a byte character. The second one is a character object. It's a blue character. And the third element of the array is a hopper character. So what happens is we're creating a new instance of character 3 times and then storing them in this array. So the array name is characters. There are 3 items in here. Now, how index works, an index, every array, each element in the array has a value associated with it, and it starts at 0. The index always starts at 0. So this character here would be the array characters element at index 0. So this byte would be characters, the element at index 0. This one would be characters, the element at index 1, and this would be characters, the element at index 2. So we have index 0 would be this one, index 1 would be this one, index 2 would be this one. So 3 elements in the array and 3 indexes, 0, 1, 2, 3, if we need to pluck out or to use any one of these elements individually. And that's what's happening here. This says the array characters, and if you use square brackets to say characters at some index 0, well, that's referring to this first element because it has index 0. So it's referring to the byte character. So it's saying characters at element 0, send the message toggle switch to it. So byte will toggle the switch. In the next line of code, characters at index 2, well, that's this last one. Remember 0, 1, 2. The last character, characters at index 2, send the message jump to that one. So hopper will jump. Okay? So that's it. There are 3 elements in here. Each one of the elements is characters. They have index 0, 1, and 2. Now, there's a note here that says be careful that you don't try to access an item that doesn't exist. This will cause an index out of range error, a bug that prevents your application from running. What they mean by this is that there are 3 elements in here. There's an index 0, 1, and 2. If we tried to say characters at index 3 dot toggle switch, that would be a problem because there is no character at index 3. Or if we tried to say characters at index -5, there's no character at that index either. So that would be a problem. If you tried to send the message toggle switch or jump to any of those characters, you would get an index out of range error. Okay? So we need to be careful when we're writing code that has arrays in it that we never try to access an element at an index that doesn't exist, because we'll get an error and our program will actually crash. Okay? So that's what they're explaining here. Characters at index 3, if you say collect gem, you're going to get an index out of range error and your program will crash. So let's take a look at the code now here. We'll go through line by line here because there's a lot happening. The first thing is a variable called team blue. And team blue with a colon after it means this is going to be its type. Its type is not a character, but these square brackets around it means it's an array of characters. So team blue is going to be a collection, an ordered collection of characters that will have some indices 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, depending on how big characters team blue is, how big the array is, how many elements are in it. Right now, we're assigning it to square bracket, left square bracket, right square bracket, which means it's an empty array. There are no elements in it. But if we need to put elements in it, they need to be characters. Remember that an array, once you define what its type is, can only hold elements of that type. So if we say this is an array of characters, we can only add characters to this array. And that's what's going to happen here. In this next for loop here, there's a for loop, and we're saying for some variable I in the range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I will be 1, then I will be 2, then I will be 3, all the way up to I will be 9. We're going to run this line of code. Team blue, which is our array, we're going to append something to that array. The thing we're going to append to it is a new instance of character of the type blue character. So we're going to create a brand new instance of blue every time and append it to team blue. How many times are we going to do it? 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So when I is 1, we'll append a character. When I is 2, we'll append a blue character. When I is 3, we'll append a blue character. When I is 4, we'll append a blue character. A new character each time. So by the time this for loop is done, let's go ahead and give a little note to ourselves here and say, at this point, there are 9 blue characters in the characters, I'll go ahead and say this, characters array. Okay? So that's the situation at this point in the code. Now, let's go on a little further, and we'll say we've got a variable called column placement, and it's set to 0. Remember that if we say it's a var, we're going to want to probably change this at some point. So it's starting out at 0, but it may change. If we didn't want to change it, we would have said let column placement equal 0. So here's another for loop. This for loop's a little bit different. It doesn't count indices, but instead it's a for loop that loops over every element of an array. And the array we're looping over is team blue. And what are the elements in team blue? They're all characters. Okay? So what's happening here is this variable, blue, is a temporary variable, and it's going to be the first time through the loop, the first element in team blue, which is a character. The second time through the loop, it's going to be the second element of team blue, which is a character. The third time through, it's going to be the third character. Fourth time through, the fourth character, and so on. So this loop says, for every element or every character in team blue, we want to do this to it. Okay? And what do we want to do to it? Well, we're going to place it on the map by doing world.place the blue here, which is each element in the array, the first character, second character, third character, and so on. We're going to place it at some coordinate. Okay? And we're going to create a new coordinate each time. Well, each time that coordinate is going to be a little bit different. It's always going to be at row 4, but the column is going to be different. The column will be 0 the first time through the array. Then after we place it, we run this line of code, which says column placement is no longer 0. It's going to get bumped up to 1. The third time, then it's going to get bumped up to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. So column placement is going to get bumped up by 1 every single time. And we're placing the character, blue, each time it's a different character at a different column. So let's kind of look at what this is here. This is column 0, row 0, column 0, row 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm guessing that this is the 4th row. Whoops. This is the 4th row, column 0. and then column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. These are all along row 4, all the different columns. Hopefully we're going to be placing a blue character at each one of these columns. So every element of the array team blue is getting placed at this at a different column along here. So let's try it out and see if that happens. Let's not worry about this. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and comment this out for right now. Now I have a keyboard here. You could just easily come through and in fact, we'll just do this. We'll put this in here, comments at each one of these lines so that they don't run. Remember, a comment is just a note to ourselves and it doesn't execute. So these will not execute now. Let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. Remember, we're creating an array of characters. We're loading it up by appending a new character each time, and then we're placing them in the world at a different column each time, all along row 4. Okay, good. That's interesting. All these characters got put in the right place. I don't know why these platforms shot up like this, but they raised up. Perhaps the authors of this activity put in some hidden code that we don't see that raises these platforms up. That's fine. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that later. Great. Now let's uncomment this code and see if we can find the error. Remember, we're still looking for one of these index out of range errors. Okay, and let's just take a look here and see what's happening before we run it. Remember, team blue is our array, and it has these 9 different characters in there. Remember, index 0 here means the first one. So I assume that's this one here was the first one that got put down. So this is the character at index 0 in team blue, and we tell it to jump. So we send the message jump to it. Then we skip team blue's index 1 and we go to team blue index 2, and we tell it to collect gem. So here's index 1, here's index 2. This one needs to collect the gem. That's good, because the gem is right over its head. Okay. The next one is index 4. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one's going to jump, so it'll hopefully jump onto the platform. Index 6 will be this one right here. It needs to collect the gem. Index 8 needs to jump right here. And then team blue at index 10 needs to collect a gem. Well, we don't have a character at index 10 here. We've only added 9, I think, or even 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. No, it's 9. It's 9. We've only added 9 to our array. So we need to, when we say collect gem on the character at array index 10, that should cause a problem. In fact, it's probably one of these index out of range errors. So let's go ahead and run this and see if we get that error at the end. Okay, we've added all the characters to our array. Then we're going to say u at index 0 jump, at index 2 collect the gem, index 4 jump, index 6 collect the gem, index 8 jump, and finally index 10 collect gem. Well, now we've got an index out of range, and if we click on this red dot, it's going to give us the error, which is index out of range. So that's the problem. We're going to just get rid of this code because there is no character at that time. Now, for some reason, this platform didn't rise up there at the time, and I don't know why that is, but I like it when the platform's raised. I kind of want to see what happens. So how can we get these platforms to raise? Let's just kind of have a little more fun with this puzzle here. Well, remember, if we put one of those little lockpicker characters here, we can have them turn the locks to get these platforms to move up, I think. And that's at column, column 4, row 7, I think. Let's try that. Let's go ahead and create a lock picker. So we'll say let lock picker equal, and I think those are called experts if I remember right. So expert, and we create an instance of expert. That's good. Let's just go ahead and run that and see what happens. I'll run it fast. Oh, well, we haven't, yeah, okay, let's just see what happens here. Okay, it didn't create the lock picker because we didn't put him anywhere, right? So we need to do that first. So let's go ahead and place it. So we said world.place some item, which is going to be lock picker, add a coordinate, and we'll do that like they did up here. We'll create an instance of coordinate here where we would like it to be. So we'll see how do we initialize a coordinate. Well, we give it a column and a row. So the column we want again is 4, and the row we want is 7. 4 and 7. Now let's try running this again. See if we get a lock picker at that correct place. Good. There's our lock picker. Facing the wrong way right now though. So let's just real quickly turn them around. Lock picker dot turn left twice. These are all the things we can do with a lock picker. That's nice to know. And let's do it again. Lock picker dot turn left. Okay, and I'm going to use this opportunity to raise the platforms up. Raise the platforms up, say 5, maybe 4 levels up. So let's make a for loop here that says for some variable I in the range 1 to 4. We're going to tell lock picker to turn the lock up 4 times. Okay, that will turn it up 4, and then we'll turn it down 4. Before we do this, actually, remember that if you're not, we're actually never using this index I here. We're just doing something 4 times. So you don't need to have the I. You can have it. It doesn't hurt anything. But if you're ever writing a for loop in Swift and you don't need to use this index, you can just give it an underscore like this, which says we don't care about I. We don't need it. We're just doing something 4 times. And the thing we're doing is turning the lock up. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to turn the lock down just for fun. I'll say turn lock down 4 times. Okay, and then if this works fine, we will get these, we'll rescue these characters from the platforms high up and get them to jump off those platforms at the end. But let's just see if this works first. There we go. And character is going to turn, the expert's turning the lock up 4 times. Good. Now the expert's going to turn it down 4 times. And great. Finally, before this happens where they jump up, let's have these blue characters jump off their platforms. Okay? And they are at in 0, 3, 4, 3, and 8, 3. So remember, this is in our array. We can say our array is called team blue. So which element is this? Well, this is the element at index 0. Team blue at index 0. Let's get you to jump off. So you're rescued. Let's get this one to jump off. Team blue at index 4. You need to jump off before that platform goes up again. And team blue at index 8, you also need to jump to get off the platform before it rises up again. So let's try this one more time. We'll take a look at the expert doing his work there. And he's coming back off. Good. And they're jumping off, and we rescued them. Yes, they're no longer stuck up in space on that platform. So, all right. Good job, everybody. Just to remind you what we talked about today, the first thing we did is we talked about arrays can hold elements of the type that they're defined as. So in this case, we defined a variable called team blue that was an array of characters. Okay, and team blue can only hold characters. And in fact, we appended 9 of them to team blue using this for loop here. By the way, this is another example where we don't actually use the variable I in here. So this could be replaced with an underscore here. Still would work fine. It would append the 9 characters to that team blue array perfectly well. And then we found out this error happens if you ever try to access an element at some index of your array that doesn't exist. You get a problem, and that problem is called index out of range error. Okay, so every index of an array has some certain range, and that range starts at 0 always, and it goes up to the number of elements in the range the number of elements in the array minus 1. So in this case, if we have 9 elements in our array, our range of indexes that are valid are going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's actually 9 values. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is 9 indices for our array. Those are the ones that are valid. If you try to access any of those outside that, you will get an index out of range error. Okay? All right, if you're happy with this and you enjoy it, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe so you see any new videos we have coming out. Again, if you're stuck on arrays or you find them challenging, never hurts to go back and watch the videos again, do the puzzles again, really cement this. Arrays are such an important idea in computer science. It's really a good thing to be very comfortable with them. And I know that doesn't always happen the first, second, or third time you work with arrays. So feel free to go back and do them again. Review what they are, how they work, and all that. You'll feel much better about them real soon, I'm sure of it. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.